On October 25, 1415, the English at Agincourt were able to defeat the vastly outnumbered French army with a large number of armored knights, and all thanks to their then miracle weapon, a longbow, an arrow from which 100 yards pierced the armor of the knights. In 571 years, on September 26, 1986, Russian planes and helicopters began to fall in Afghanistan, destroyed by another miracle weapon, also Anglo-Saxon, and, to be exact, American, the Stinger. Many experts believe that the appearance of this man-portable anti-aircraft missile system on the Mujahideen was the last straw, which forced the Kremlin to withdraw its troops from Afghanistan. Now, 36 years later, in the Ukrainian-Russian war, Stinger again had to see Russian planes and helicopters in its optical sight. How will their duel end this time? The Russians in the war with Ukraine are using their latest Su-34s and Su-35s, which are 4++ fighters, as well as attack helicopters, the Mi-28N Night Hunter and the Ka-52 Alligator. It would seem that the FIM-92 Stinger man-portable air defense missile system, which is over 40 years old, has little chance to cope with modern Russian aircraft. But this is in theory. And the practice is that according to the evidence of the military of the 81st Separate Airmobile Brigade of the Airborne Assault Troops of the AFU, they've destroyed Stinger more than a dozen Russian aircraft, including 2 Su-34s. So why did the 40-year-old anti-aircraft missile system prove to be so effective? It's all about its successful, maximally well-thought-out design. Americans thought about a new portable anti-aircraft missile system in the mid-1960s, the FIM-43 Redeye, the development of which began in the mid-1950s. It didn't meet modern requirements. It's shown some serious design flaws, such as practically total inefficiency in shooting at air targets flying in opposite courses, and relatively low effectiveness in difficult background conditions. By the way, the Mujahideen used FIM-43 Redeye against Russian planes and helicopters, but the results were more than modest. In 1982 to 1986, these missiles shot down only 2 Mi-24 helicopters and 1 Su-25 attack aircraft. And after installing the LVV-166 Lipa pulse infrared jamming stations on the helicopters, the Mujahideen themselves refused to use the remaining FIM-43s, as the probability of hitting them was approaching zero. The FIM-92 Stinger man-portable air defense missile system did not enter service until, as we've said, 1981. Such a long development time was due to the lack of technological capability to create a thermal guidance system for the missile, which was to be a feature of the new weapon. But so much time was spent on the development of the complex was worth it. The Stinger guidance system is still the most advanced in the world. For example, the Russians in their portable anti-aircraft missile system Igla have not been able to create anything similar. By the way, a curious detail, Soviet spies were able to steal the secrets of the FIM-43 Redeye, and based on this information, the Russians were able to create their Strela 2-man portable air defense system, but they could not copy the Stinger. Although during the war in Afghanistan, Russian special forces were able to capture 8 Stingers. What kind of homing head does this missile have that allows it to shoot down modern warplanes as well? The trick with this head is that it works not only in the infrared but also in the ultraviolet range. Therefore, heat traps, which are fired by planes and helicopters to fool homing missiles, will not help. The Stinger cannot be fooled by this. Structurally, the FIM-92 Stinger portable anti-aircraft missile system consists of the following elements: a missile, a transport and launch container, a detachable launcher, and a friend or foe IFF identification unit, which attaches to the operator's belt and is connected by a cable to the launcher. Before launching, the IFF requests the aircraft identification system and sends a sound signal to the manpad's operator that there's a friend or an enemy in the sky. If the aircraft or helicopter is friendly, the IFF blocks the missile launch. This eliminates the chance of friendly fire. The Stinger missile is designed according to the Dusk aerodynamic scheme. That is, the horizontal plummet consisting of 2 aerodynamic rudders and 2 fixed aerodynamic surfaces in front of the main planes. Behind these surfaces is a booster. Its mission is to push the missile out of the transport and launch container, take it to a safe distance for the operator to engage the thrust engine, and give the missile a rotation to stabilize the flight. Before firing, the transport and launch container with the help of special locks is connected to the launching device, where the electric battery is additionally installed. Also before use, a block of liquid nitrogen is connected to the launch container, which is needed to cool the seeker detectors. If no target is found within 45 seconds of starting to cool, this unit must be replaced with a new one. This, of course, is a drawback of Stinger, but not so significant compared to its advantages. After the trigger is pulled, the missile's gyroscopes and the cooling of its homing head are triggered, then the missile's battery is activated and the launch booster begins to work. Of course, the system has been upgraded several times since its introduction into service. The latest version of the manpads are fitted with AN/PAS-18 thermal imaging sight that can be used at any time of day or night. It allows for detecting an air target at a distance of up to 18 miles. But most important is the new missile of the complex, Stinger RPM, Reprogrammable Microprocessor. That is, the missile system can be reprogrammed. Thus, when new enemy aircraft appear, it's enough to enter the parameters into the memory of the missile, not to create new software. The complex with its missile received the index FIM-92C. This was followed by a modification FIM-92D, which differs from FIM-92C only slightly. Stinger resistance to jamming increased. It seems that this was the modification that the Pentagon supplied to Ukraine. There's also a modification FIM-92E with a proximity fuse. It was designed to increase the efficiency of engaging small maneuverable targets, drones, and light helicopters. In addition to targeting the missile in two radiation ranges, infrared and ultraviolet, the Stinger has another feature. The first modifications of the missile hit the aircraft nozzle, which has the highest temperature, but at the same time, it's one of the most durable parts. Therefore, there have been numerous cases where a plane or helicopter has been hit, but the pilots were still able to land their machines since there was no general destruction of the structure. Now, a few seconds before hitting the target, the Stinger slightly changes its course and hits the center of the plane or helicopter rather than the nozzle. In this case, the probability of destroying the entire structure of the aircraft is much higher. The latest modifications of the complex, due to the possibility of reprogramming, can work not only against air targets, but also against ground and sea ones. So Javelin has a serious rival. In addition, one Javelin costs $240,000, while the Stinger costs $60,000 to $70,000. Now about the main technical characteristics of the FIM-92 Stinger. The weight of the complex, missile plus container plus launcher plus IFF, is 33 pounds. The weight of the warhead is 6 pounds. It's 60 inches long and less than 3 inches in diameter. As you can see, it can be carried by one person and still not be very restraining in movement. So you can move quickly with it and attack from a variety of places. With the help of the FIM-92 Stinger anti-aircraft missile system, it's possible to hit the air targets at a distance of 200 yards up to 5 miles. By the way, it's the best range result against all manpads. The maximum altitude of the target is 2.4 miles. The missile in flight has a speed of 1,678 miles per hour, which corresponds to 2.2 miles. That's faster than any of the existing combat aircraft in production, except the Russian MIG-31 fighter-interceptor, which the Kremlin has adapted to carry its hypersonic Kynzhal missiles. But the MiG-31 flies at altitudes over 10 miles, so alas, the Stinger cannot cope with this new Russian weapon. But it already has enough targets in the Ukrainian-Russian war: Su-25 attack aircraft, Su-34 fighter bomber, Su-35 fighter, Mi-28N and Ka-52 Alligator attack helicopters, Mi-8 and Mi-17 transport helicopters, and as we said above, it copes with its duties perfectly. As stated by the command of the AFU on April 20th, 151 Russian aircraft and 140 helicopters were destroyed. If we take into account that Ukrainian anti-aircraft missile systems like S-200, S-300, and Buk-1 were mostly destroyed in the first days of the war, we can say with full confidence that behind these losses, in most cases, it's the Stinger, easy to use and reliable weapon. And these are not just words. Let's compare the FIM-92 Stinger with another portable anti-aircraft missile system which NATO also supplies to Ukraine, the British Starstreak. It's significantly younger, having been adopted for service in 1997. But is it better? It's better in some features. It has a faster missile with a speed up to 3.5 miles, and hits an altitude of 3.1 miles and not 2.4 miles. True, the Starstreak is inferior to the Stinger in the range, 3.7 miles versus 5 miles, but the main difference is in the operating principle. FIM-92 Stinger has a passive homing head operating in the infrared and ultraviolet ranges. The operator only needs to aim and press the start button. Then the missile will do everything by itself. The soldier can immediately leave the place of shot, thus increasing his survivability significantly. And since the homing head is passive, i.e. does not emit radiation itself, the attack target cannot detect the missile with its sensors. The Starstreak is different. After the shot, the operator must continue to illuminate the target with the laser beam that the missile is following. That is, it's not self-directed. The flight of the missile, even at Mach 3.5, lasts about 8 seconds. By the standards of modern combat, this is an enormous time during which it's possible to destroy the operator several times. Firstly, it can be done by a plane or a helicopter that's being fired at. After all, its sensors will detect the laser radiation and the pilot will understand that he's being attacked. Secondly, it can be done by another aircraft. After all, usually on a combat mission, they fly in pairs, and the destruction of the operator is unfortunate in itself. Besides, the missile will stop aiming at the target and it won't be hit. Starstreak indeed offers an automatic target tracking system, but it can only be used on a vehicle. This is completely different mobility. It can no longer be called a hand weapon for the soldier, which can be attacked from any place. That's why soldiers love the Stinger for its effectiveness, reliability, and at the same time, ease of use. This weapon has become so legendary that its name has become a proverbial name for all portable anti-aircraft missile systems, just as before the legendary bazooka became the name for all portable anti-tank systems. The military evaluated the effectiveness of the Stinger and began to use it not only as a man-portable air defense system. Based on the HMMWV chassis was created the anti-aircraft defense M1097 Avenger with 8 Stinger rocket launchers. The Stingers also used in aircraft. They're installed on the American attack helicopters AH-64, MH-60 used by U.S. Special Forces, and the Turkish T-129 ATAK attack helicopter. The Stinger is armed with the American MQ-1 Predator attack and reconnaissance drone. Now the FIM-92 Stinger is in service in 32 countries, even including China. So in terms of popularity, it's not inferior to another weapon legend, the Kalashnikov assault rifle. One can only wish that the Stinger will stop the Russian aggression now in 2022 as it did in 1986. Do you think it can do it? I'm waiting for your answers in the comments below this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. There are a lot of interesting reviews ahead.